What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the after credit scene. We are talking all things Daredevil Born Again Season 2. The first 3 episodes have already dropped, and we're going to get into all of the aspects of every one of those episodes. But before we do, please like the channel, subscribe to the channel, hit the buttons, do the things, then share this video all across the multiverse. Super excited to be back with you guys. A lot of things have gone down. Waited till the first 3 episodes were down because we got 2 episodes this past week. Which I think was a really great marketing technique by Disney. My guess is there might be some implications for episode 4 because of the way they did that, but I think letting episode 1 come out, the diehard fans are definitely going to be there for the first one, get some word of mouth, and then drop 2 episodes so that people just joining in get some content. They can binge a little bit, get connected with it, get locked in, and then you've got them for the rest of the season. I thought the first episode really dove in really well, and I think these first 3 episodes really did a lot of the world building that really connected us with what's going on in New York at this point. The first season, has a really slow build for connecting with Daredevil again, introducing us to these characters again, Fisk becoming mayor, and how that all kind of builds slowly into something bigger. And I thought, actually, with Season 1 and Season 2 being so closely together in terms of when they were released, I thought it actually did a really good job of kind of starting and letting you know, like, it hasn't been too terribly long since the events of Season 1 and the beginning of Season 2. And so really introducing us to what's going on and using things like the BB report and then these kingpin propaganda videos, which I think we all kind of knew were BB doing her thing behind the scenes, were really good ways to show the back and forth of what's going on. I think, as much as I'm not one to really get into political matters, I actually thought showing the anti-vigilante task force and the way that they are attacking people, the way that they're doing things, and kind of showing both perspectives on that, especially with people who don't really know what's going on, was a really great way. They've leaned into that writing-wise in a way that kind of mirrors the black and white gray areas, the conversations that people are having over things like ICE and immigration and stuff like that. And so, but without getting super heavy-handed into it in terms of making some kind of political statement, they've really kept it in world and not worded things in a way that would detract from the story that they're trying to tell with Daredevil and Fisk. And so I think the writing, I say that to say, I think the writing has been really on point. I thought the first episode really introduced us well to what's going on, and using that Northern Star boat sinking incident as kind of the catalyst for what's going to happen moving forward in this season. I think you get the idea that Daredevil has been fighting behind the scenes with a bunch of other people as the pressure has been coming down on him from Fisk. You've already kind of gotten that idea, but really using this Northern Star incident as a way to say, well, this has been going on, but this is what spurred them to do more. This is what pushed them towards whatever we're going to see here in Season 2. I thought the placing of the watch in the cargo crate, without really giving you much reason why, you kind of had to infer, like, oh, he's going to want to track this later, and then paying that off in episode 3 was really great. I think the reasoning for getting everybody where they're at, and the rationale for why certain things would happen the way that they're happening has really made a lot of sense. The only complaint that I have about the entire thing is because we know who Fisk is and what he's doing, and because they are showing you what the vigilante task force is doing behind the scenes in terms of, going into dark alleys and beating people, taking people and making them escape, putting them at Red Hook in cells, in cages, all these different things, because they're showing you those things right up front rather than letting you see them through the eyes of, let's say, the district attorney, not the district attorney, but the lawyer that is defending the swordsman, for instance. rather than letting you see it for the first time through her eyes, that she gets taken in a very nice vehicle to Red Hook, gets walked down a hall, and then discovers that he is being held in a cage. Rather than seeing it that way, we're getting all the behind the scenes stuff. We're seeing him being shaken down. We're seeing him being beaten. We're seeing him in a cage. We're seeing all those things. It makes it hard to believe that anybody in New York City would think that things are getting better. Obviously, New York's a big city. If it's not happening to you, then it's not happening at all those kind of things. But knowing that those things are happening, knowing that they're happening, at a bodega on the corner, and there's people around with phones being able to film it, it's very hard to believe that would go unnoticed, or that people would stay quiet about it in terms of the city as a whole, that people would say, oh, well, crime's down and things are better, and so it's just not happening. Again, I think good from a writing standpoint, but in terms of believing that Fisk could do any of this quietly or in a way that makes anybody like him is not very believable. And I think that's probably going to make more sense. They're going to pay that off in a big way down the road, where it looks as though public opinion has shifted and people are with the vigilantes. People that the vigilantes somehow give them the confidence to stand up to the corrupt government that they weren't privy to before. Things like that, I think, is probably the direction they're leaning. We'll talk about that in some prediction videos coming up. But I think that's probably the direction they're going. You see it, you know what's going on, but you constantly see Daredevil being beaten down and beaten at every turn, and so it's frustrating. And I think it's meant to be frustrating, because it's very easy to get behind Daredevil fighting the man and hiding out and all those kind of cloak and dagger vigilante things. But you still have to make it look like Fisk is winning. And so the ways in which they do that, particularly, that brings us to episode 2, where Fisk decides to use Matt Murdock, not in a way where he outs his identity as Daredevil, but where he raises up Matt Murdock as some kind of hero that has been lost in the fray, that Matt saved his life and that we need to find him. And so now he's got everybody looking for Matt Murdock out in the world, and also searching for Daredevil at night. And so he really can't go anywhere. I thought that was a really brilliant way to do that. I also thought that maybe it was an opportunity to kind of show that while Fisk hates Daredevil, because Daredevil is getting in the way of everything he's doing, he also can't reconcile this strong sense of loyalty that he has for anybody in his life. His right-hand man, Bucky, who he calls Buck, I think, Buck is loyal, and all these people around him that are loyal to him, even if they don't, do things exactly the way he wants to, he honors that. He respects that, even if he's going to manipulate them, even if he's going to strong-arm them. I think that part of Fisk is at war with the part of Fisk that hates Daredevil, because Murdock did save his life. Regardless of what he thinks about Daredevil, there is a part of him that knows that the two of them being at odds, there's a part of him that has to know somewhere inside that there may be a part of him as Fisk that is or possibly could be as bad as Daredevil thinks he is, or as Daredevil, the way he fights him. And so kind of knowing, same way that Murdock knows that he has this devil inside of him, this angry side that can go unchecked and can really ruin the rest of his life, I think has always been at the center of the Fisk, Kingpin, Murdock, Daredevil conundrum. Their inner turmoil is just as interesting as the fight between the two of them, in this cat and mouse kind of who's going to get the upper hand thing has been really great. I loved that in episode 3, Murdock didn't get to expose him and his gun running because he chose to save the hostages. He chose to get all those people out of Red Hook because that mattered more. and he took care of the people rather than just trying to get one over on Fisk. I think it's something that Fisk will capitalize on, and it will seem like a weakness, and I'm sure Murdoch will hate himself for doing that, but it was the right move. I think having all these people who know now that Daredevil came for them when Fisk was the one locking them up is also going to be very interesting as well. The dynamics with all the different secondary players. Mr. Charles having these connections to Allegra de Fontaine, I think is really interesting because it means that in the midst of New York City where vigilantes are being hunted, Allegra has the Thunderbolts in Avengers Tower, and what she decides to do with them and where they're at and why they're not involved or doing anything at all really says more about the two sides that Allegra is pitting against each other and playing both sides, and that she is not a good person, but she has her own fight force, so to speak, in the Thunderbolts, is a really interesting shade of this story, even if it never gets explored. And knowing that these vigilantes are out there, knowing that Bullseye is out there throughout episode 1 and 2, and then seeing him introduced the way he was in episode 3, I thought was fantastic. Him dropping out of the ceiling, the music swelling, the blue lighting that is in no way realistic but pops up every time he shows up, I think is a really awesome way to really show that how rogue he is, how crazy he is, that he has his own agenda and it has nothing to do with any of this stuff, I think is going to make for a really amazing fight and a really interesting interaction, whether Bullseye connects with Fisk, whether he fights Daredevil, whatever happens. All of these loose ends and rogue agents out there coming together, it really makes the whole universe there feel like this powder keg, and really gives it some depth. And so I've really enjoyed what they've been doing, and how they're kind of positioning all these pieces. And you really kind of don't know what's going to happen, how is it going to happen, what's his next move, who's going to win, who's going to get the upper hand, who's going to come to help. And I think it's really great, and I think it really is lending itself right into whatever this Punisher special presentation is going to be after Daredevil is over, leading right into July 31st when we see Spider-Man Brand New Day, is going to be really awesome. And I think Punisher, obviously in the trailer, and probably Daredevil is going to pop up in that movie as well. So I think they're really laying the groundwork for some really awesome street level stuff, and finding ways to connect these characters in a way that's really going to make the MCU pop again in ways that I think a lot of people have not really felt that it has. But Daredevil has always been this flagship show when it has come to the grittiness, when it's come to the writing, the fight choreography, which has been on point this season. I really love how they've really leaned into Daredevil's acrobatic side from the comics. I think that the grittiness is awesome, but the acrobatic side shows that he's growing, shows that he's more dangerous than it would appear, and kind of makes him feel more like a superhero, more than just, oh, he can hear things in a way that's interesting. I think when those things pop up, it really makes for a more interesting character and a more interesting fight scene. And so all of these things have been really interesting, and I've really enjoyed the show so far. It's exciting. It's fun to watch. I'm hooked. I love all the different characters and how they're really coming together. Curious to see what you guys think about it. We've talked through 3 episodes really fast. There's a whole lot of things going on. Who's going to get arrested next? Who's going to be targeted by Fisk and the Vigilante Task Force? How is Daredevil going to expose Fisk and really bring the city back to what it can be? Those are all really interesting questions, and I'm curious what you guys think about it. Like the channel, hit the button, do the things, and then check out all these other videos we've got. We've got tons of things you can sink your teeth into. And as always, guys, when the next one drops, we'll catch you right back here. Later.